Hi, my name is Meg. I'm going to do a quick get ready with me while I talk about a journey that I'm about to embark on. So I currently live in Miami, and it's always been my dream to live for at least a year in either Spain or Portugal. I have been to Spain before, but I've never been to Portugal, and I'm going for the first time in October for a tennis and yoga retreat, and I'm so excited. I just took up tennis this year, and it's genuinely been so much fun. I am really excited to go see my friends. I'm going with a girlfriend of mine and her friend who I have recently met, and she's super sweet. And then afterwards, we're going to travel to Marrakesh before returning to Miami. So I have been living here in Miami mostly for 8 years. I did leave for 2 years in the pandemic when we shut down for COVID. I work in nightlife, and I have been working in nightlife for 10 years now. I'm 34 years old, and I'm ready for a change. It has been such a pleasure to have the opportunity to work in some really incredible venues. I've worked for Encore Beach Club, so that means I was hired through the Win. I have been working for Live Miami, which means I'm hired through the Fountain Blue. That is technically my employer and has been for 8 years mostly. And I am just ready for the next chapter of my life. 3 years ago, I went back to school to pursue an education in psychology. And while I really enjoyed it, along the way, I did decide to take a step back and to pursue another career. I had the opportunity to chase after a dream of mine that I had and launch an app for women. And I did that over a year ago, almost a year exactly, actually. In September, it will be 1 year since my app Muzeaic hit the App Store. It is a social media platform for women who are looking to work on their best selves, to build community, and just to have a break from traditional social media. But I am the sole founder, and I funded it myself. And in doing so, I accumulated a lot of debt. I have paid off my developers, but now I have some credit card debt that I have to pay off. So I'm going on a journey to not only pay off that debt, but to supplement my income so I can live a nomadic life. Ultimately, my goal in life is to be able to up and leave and have the freedom to go wherever I want. I would love to have a home base, maybe somewhere in Europe, somewhere in Central America, potentially, and just be nomadic. I really would love to go back to Southeast Asia. It's been 10 years since I went, and just explore the world. That's my definition of happiness, and I know it looks different for everyone, but that's ultimately my main goal in life. I really love adventure. I love delving into local culture. I love learning about history. I love learning new languages. I have been trying to work on my Spanish for the last 10 years. My conversational is pretty decent, but I have some work to do, and I feel like I could definitely go a lot further living in a Spanish-speaking country. And when I do that, I would love to be active in my local community, and whether that looks like me tutoring kids and teaching them English or volunteering in some way, that's what I know I want to do. I want to be very involved. I want to go through the visa process. I want to figure out what works best for me, but I want to be an active member of whatever community I'm involved in. I really enjoy meeting new people, learning about traditions, and just exploring the world. It's my favorite thing. I've loved it since I was a little girl. So this is my journey of becoming a content creator full-time. I am currently a 6-figure earner. I have a 401k, and I have a lot of debt. So you're going to come along with me on this journey to pay off my debt, to create supplemental income, to create multiple income streams, to become free financially and locationally. Because right now my job is very dependent on me being in Miami. I can travel, and that's something I'm very blessed. I am very blessed in that I'm able to travel, and my manager is very flexible with us taking time off unless it's the holiday season or just busy season for us in general. But I know that there's a whole world out there waiting for me to discover it, and I'm finally ready to take that leap and get serious about the life that I want for myself. So I'm going to continue to be consistent with practicing content and bring you guys along this journey with me while I build the life of my dreams. In the last 3 years, I've really been focused on growing my TikTok, but I would say the last 2 years I've had momentum, which genuinely started from posting about me exploring new hobbies. The first video I had that took off was me trying a gymnastics class as an adult in my 30s. And it was so cool to connect with other women who were also enjoying their lives and trying new hobbies for the first time and just having fun. And then it ended up becoming a community of people who wanted to be in nightlife, because I post a lot about my job, and I feel like I kind of got niched into it a bit, but it is something I have a lot of experience in. I've worked in a lot of different venues, including venues in other countries, so I do feel I'm qualified to speak on that and to teach people. And I do really love when women have come to me in the comment section and told me that they got a job. I feel very happy for them and like happy I was able to just share the things that I've learned over the years. But a lot of my content is centered around using nightlife as a stepping stone to build your dream life, which is something I have been in the process of for the last few years. I had a whole awakening when we shut down in 2020, and I actually left and I went to spend some time in Mexico. And then while I was there, I realized I was not living the life that was true to my own desires and my dreams. So I went on this journey of self-exploration, and I really found myself enjoying being a nomad. I also moved to New York for 6 months in 2021 because I took a job at a pop-up in the Hamptons, technically in Montauk. And then I got a job opportunity to move to Dubai for a nightlife job. And this company had contacted me. They were offering transportation to and from work. They were offering the flight and accommodation. We were put up in a staff hotel. And it just ended up not being for me. Nightlife in Dubai is very different from all of the venues that I've worked. And it just isn't a place I was happy at. I just didn't want to pay rent at the time. So when they were offering me housing, I'm like, seems easy enough, but I quickly realized that the quality of life is so much more important. So I did end up coming home. I broke my contract after a month, and I came back in December of 2021. I went and spent 2 weeks at my parents' house, and then I set off on a 3-month journey of just travel, not going and working pop-up festivals, which I was doing in 2020 and 2021 whenever there were events that I was able to work, because, you know, things were very limited depending on where you were in the world during that time. So I just took 3 months and actually didn't work. I traveled Mexico. I spent a month in Oaxaca, which I absolutely loved. I spent a month on the coast. I started in the city, and then I went into the mountains to San Jose del Pacifico, which is a really beautiful place. And I did something that I've always wanted to do. And this might sound a little crazy, but I always dreamed of spending New Year's by myself. And for somebody who's worked in hospitality my whole life, I got my first hospitality job when I was 15, and I worked in a coffee shop as a barista. I have never really had the opportunity to just be alone. So I went into the mountains with my dog and I stayed in this hostel. There was nothing else available that was dog friendly, and it was so cold. I remember me not having the clothes for it and being freezing. So I went and I stayed there, and I spent New Year's alone, and it was so cool. I just connected with the people who were staying in my hostel. I made new friends. I partook in their culture and danced with them and ate the grapes underneath the table, and like it was just so fun, and I felt so free. And then after that, I packed our bags because I was freezing. I was gonna stay there an extra day or two, but I realized I just didn't have the clothes for it, and I went to the coast. And I went to this little hippie town called Mazunte, which is so magical and so delightful, but it felt like time just stopped, which was really incredible. And it's a place I will definitely return to one day. But for me, I got tired of it after about a month and I needed stimulation. So what did I do? I packed up my bags again after spending a very leisurely month just connecting with nature, meeting a bunch of really cool people from all over the world, partaking in different ceremonies such as cacao, doing temazcal. I even did combo. And I went to Mexico City. Mexico City is one of my favorite cities in the world. I think it's such an incredible place. It's so culturally rich. I love the cafe culture. I would wake up every single day and go to a different cafe. I would people watch. I would practice my Spanish. I would enjoy the pastries. I would sip on my coffee and just enjoy life. You know, Mexicans really know how to enjoy themselves, how to be in the moment, and they're so warm and just kind, and really taught me a lot about living a quality life and also being a great neighbor, being a good friend, how to honor the earth and do so outside the confines of religion. I learned a lot about Pachamama and the Mayans and all of their practices, and it's so beautiful to me and really opened my eyes to new ways of thinking. So after that, I did spend I spent 2 months in Mexico City, almost 3. I really didn't want to leave, but I knew that my time had come to an end of not working. I was out of money. So instead of getting myself stuck there, I went back to Miami. And my job had only been reopened for, at that time, I think 8 months. So we were shut down the longest out of most nightclubs in Miami because of the zoning. So I did have the opportunity to come back, thankfully, and work at my job. And I came back with the intention of working for a year and then getting back on the road and going and being nomadic. And in that time, I lived a whole lot of life. I traveled some more. I went to some bucket list places for myself, and I found myself swept up in the lifestyle, keeping up with the Joneses, and genuinely not doing what I set out to do, which is okay because that was my path and that's what I was meant to do at that time. So then in 2023, I decided to go back to school. Mind you, I came back in March 2022. So in 2023, in the fall, I applied to FIU and I began working on my undergrad in psychology. I had actually done 1 semester. I went back to FIU in 2020, but then the pandemic happened and then I finished my classes that were not supposed to be online, but then suddenly got switched to online. And I just stopped. I was like, you know what? I know I'm better at learning in person and I would rather wait till university opens back up. So, or the campus opens back up, excuse me. So in 2023, in the fall, I went back and I started working on my undergrad. 2024, I did a semester, then I had some family illness happen, so I ended up dropping that semester so I could go and help take care of my family. And then in the fall, I went back in 2025, and then that's when I got the idea for Muzeaic. Actually, 2024 is when I got the idea for Muzeaic. Muzeaic is the app that I launched, and in 2024, I had a video go viral on TikTok, and it ended up on the wrong side of the internet, and it was a story that I felt very uncomfortable sharing to begin with, and then to have all of the men in the comment section harassing me, it just got too much to bear. So when it became way too overwhelming for me, I stepped away from social media. I actually deactivated all of my accounts and I sat in my house for like 3 days and I journaled. I took a digital detox and I really got clear on what it was that I wanted, on how to handle the negativity on the internet. And then the idea spawned on me. And then the idea dawned on me that I could just create my own app, because why not? Now, how am I gonna do that? I have no idea. I have no background in tech. I have no prior knowledge. but I was a woman with a dream and I started researching it. And then by December 2024, I had hired my team. I had hired my team of developers, I hired my team of designers, and they got to work on my app. And Muzeaic was born. So in 2025, in the spring, I went back to school, or I was in school, and I had a really hard year. I took 5 classes on campus, and then I was also working some weeks 5 nights a week and making it to 2 different campuses, and I was so burnt out. I genuinely lost my mind. I gained a bunch of weight, I was really unhappy, and I started losing momentum for the content that I was creating. But before that, I noticed I was getting a lot of traction on my bottle service content. So in summer of 2025, I launched the Bottle Girl Blueprint, which is an ebook that I wrote, and it goes through the hiring process, the steps of service, and how to maintain a level head while you're in nightlife, how to use it as a stepping stone, how to uphold your boundaries, how to upsell your table, how to create a personal brand, how to ground yourself, how to deal with high profile guests. And that was a really fun project for me to do, but it felt like me giving that to the world and to my followers if they wanted to buy it, if they wanted to partake or not. And then I wanted to take a break from doing content around nightlife. Although I do still post nightlife here and there, I really did like 1 year of consistent nightlife content, and then I created that so I didn't have to do those videos anymore. It was really fun, but I felt like I was getting niched into things, and when I would go on live, the only questions I would be asked were about nightlife, and I wanted to talk about my travels, my goals, building a life outside of nightlife, and how to grow a personal brand, and building my app and things like that. So I kind of got, like I said, burnt out from doing content. I was also working day in and day out with my developers to bring my app to fruition. And I also had a lot of stuff going on in my personal life with my family, and that required me to fly to North Carolina to go spend time with them. And I just didn't really have the energy to do any of that. So I finished my semester and I stopped school in, ooh, this is a new fun color. Ooh. I finished my semester in the summer, and then I took a break from school. Muzeaic launched in September 2025, and I was really struggling with burnout at that time. So all of the momentum I had for posting, for content, for everything had just come to a head, and I completely dropped the ball on it. I was drowning in debt. I was trying to pay my developers. I was also trying to help my family out, make sure that they were doing okay. I was still working 4 nights a week, sometimes 5, and I was just in over my head. So in the fall and in the winter, I really lost sight of my vision and got completely off track. I wasn't able to travel for almost 2 years. And that was the thing that I loved doing the most. More than anything, I loved to travel. And I wasn't able to do that because I had to lock in and send every single paycheck to my developers. I would wait until 3, 4 in the morning when the paycheck hits my account. I would run off the floor at work on Thursday night into Friday morning, and I would immediately go send as much of it as I could to my developers. So it became very heavy for me, and that just really completely threw me off track with the entire purpose of my app. And because of that, I didn't really have the growth that I wanted to. But I eventually ended up paying everything off, but in March, and then finally in May, I made my last payment to my developers, and that was only 2 months ago, and it was the most exhilarating feeling in the world. I had not had that feeling of just relief and exhale in so long. I had racked up a lot of money on my credit cards, all for my app, all for building this brand. And now I could just have that weight off my shoulders and focus on what I wanted to focus on. I want to travel, I want to grow, I want to expand, I want to work on my content, I want to live a nomadic life. So now that I have a little bit of freedom, I can aggressively pay my credit cards off and I can go back to what I eventually wanted to do in the first place. And that is create content, grow Muzeaic, find a way to monetize, build a community of like-minded women, have a nice space to connect with people that have the same hobbies, passions, and interests as me, and grow as a person. I want to learn, I want to explore, I want to see the world, and I am so excited to go on this journey, and I'm going to continue creating content, and I want to see where this path leads me down. But I want to bring you guys along for the ride while I rebuild, I want to bring you guys along for the ride while I rebuild, while I work on making multiple income streams, while I get new brand deals, while I grow my accounts, and while I go on this journey to live the nomadic life of my dreams. So I can't wait to see you guys come along. So I hope you guys tune in and enjoy the ride.